for some morning tailgating in Morgantown as number 10 West Virginia gets ready to take on Cincinnati in a Big East matchup. The weather will be a story today. Right now, not too bad. It's warm, but we expect some heavy rains to move into the area, which could neutralize the speed of the West Virginia Mountaineers. College football presented by Pennzoil. We join you from Mountaineer Field as West Virginia tries to bounce back from its loss to Louisville about 9 days ago, taking on a Cincinnati team that has won 4 of its last 5. And the Big East standing stacking up like this. Rutgers with that huge win, knocking Louisville from the ranks of the unbeaten. And Cincinnati now just 1 win away from becoming bowl eligible. West Virginia, some new life breathed into it after Louisville's loss to Rutgers. And welcome into Morgantown, Pam Ward, along with Rod Gilmore, who was in for Mike Gottfried. Mike, a little bit under the weather this week. And the West Virginia fans certainly were under the weather after that loss to Louisville. The national title hopes are dashed, but now they have to regroup and try to beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, and they can do that thanks to Rutgers, because that put them right back in the BCS championship race for the Big East. Now, we saw some of the players on Friday, and they certainly had a bounce in their step. They realized the opportunity that they have before them. But nobody realizes it more than that dynamic duel of Pat White at quarterback and Steve Slayton at running back. These guys did not play well against Louisville, so they have something to prove. They're still very dangerous. Slayton over 1,200 yards rushing on the season. And then you look at Pat White. He triggers this triple option out of the spread formation. He can throw the ball, and people challenge him to throw it, but he's particularly dangerous with his feet. And both these guys have something to prove because they didn't play well last Thursday.
And you do the math there, they've combined for almost 2,000 yards on the ground and 23 rushing touchdowns, but they're going up against a Cincinnati defense that has only allowed 2 100-yard rushers all season.
Well, Pam, this is a very hot Cincinnati defense. The last 5 games, they've given up a total of 56 points. They're not just hot, they're a physical and very aggressive defense. They can be intimidating the way that they hit. They go after you full speed.
Mark D'Antonio, the head coach, the former defensive coordinator at Ohio State, has brought that aggressive defense with them. They are first in the Big East, giving up 89 yards per game on the ground, but they will be tested by Pat White and Steve Slayton. Cincinnati won the toss but deferred, so West Virginia will receive. They have a very good return man right there, Darius Raynaud, as you see. He is one of the best in the NCAA, and he also returned one for a touchdown against Maryland early this season, and they're not even going to kick to him as the short kickoff is taken and smothered at the 20-yard line by Charles Pugh. Let's go down to the third member of our team, and Jimmy Dykes.
Thank you, Pam. The last time we saw Steve Slayton, it was the left arm that was bothering him against Louisville. He told me before the game the left arm's fine. It's the right wrist that continues to be the problem for Steve Slayton. He told me he can only bend it about 20 or 30 degrees. As a result, all day long, he will be a left-handed ball carrier. He's normally a right-handed guy. He said, how does it affect him in this ball game? When I'm running to my right, I no longer have my left arm to use to shield off would-be tacklers. The other problem, 2 fumbles last week, possible wet ball today. He's putting a lot of trust in that left arm.
There's that chronically weak right wrist, and they will perform the surgery after the season, and right away they go to the other guy, Owen Schmidt, who's the big fullback, about 6'3" and 250. And he picks up absolutely nothing. Rich Rodriguez is the architect of this very good West Virginia football team. In his 6th year overall, he's got 3 straight Big East titles, either shared or then the outright title last year.
Yeah, he had to work on the psyche of his team following that Louisville loss, and it really helped him out with the Rutgers win. He got his team back pretty quickly the last couple days.
That deflating loss just last Thursday, a week ago last Thursday, as they fell 44-34, were just carved up by Brian Brom. Pat White's first throw is just off the fingertips of Darius Raynaud. The return guy is also a very dangerous receiver, and they just missed each other.
Well, they got the matchup that they wanted. They got Raynaud on the inside in the slot formation. You'll see him coming this way, and he's matched up against a linebacker, gets behind him. Safety can't catch him, just a little bit too deep, but that's a key matchup when you have Raynaud in the slot formation.
So unable to gather that one in, brings up a 3rd and 10 for the Mountaineers, the very first possession of this game. And White flicks one out in the flat to Schmidt, his fullback, and the big guy gets about a half yard short of the first down.
Yeah, Pam, I thought that was an interesting series in that West Virginia did not give the ball to Slayton at all. And Slayton is a guy that, you know, he took those fumbles very hard last week and was emotional, and they had to spend quite a few days this last week kind of getting his confidence back, and I thought they would use him early to get him going, but he didn't touch the ball at all.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the few times this year, especially in an opening drive, maybe the only time that Slayton did not get the ball. Pat McAfee now will take over as the #1 punter because Scott Kozlowski struggled last week against Louisville. Remember, he kicked to the wrong side of the field, and it was returned for the touchdown. And this is what McAfee does, the directional rugby kind of punts, and that's covered very well. Dominic Goodman swallowed up by 5 guys in blue, led by Larry Williams. So McAfee's unconventional punt works. A 44-yard punt with a lot of roll and a -1 yard on the return. Cincinnati's impact players, you start with their sophomore quarterback Dustin Grutza. Greg Moore has emerged as their leading running back, and Brent Selleck is a very talented tight end.
Well, he's the guy that they like to go to pick up the first down, but this is a big physical offense. They've got big running backs and a big offensive line. They intend to pound you.
Sort of what you would expect from a Mark D'Antonio team. A big Ohio tradition for him. As Cincinnati's first play gets about a yard. That is Greg Moore, the starting tailback. Stopped by Boo McClee, one of the good linebackers for West Virginia. The Cincinnati offensive lineup, take a look at Doug Jones. He bursts right out at you because he weighs 275 pounds as a fullback.
Yeah, we talked about that physical offense. Well, you can be pretty physical when you've got 500 pounds plus coming at you on every play when you insert the fullback at 275 pounds.
He has 7 carries on the year and 8 catches. Mostly there as a blocking back. 2nd and 10. They didn't give any yardage at all to Moore on that first carry. The ball's on the field, and West Virginia says they have it.
I don't know, Pam. There was a whistle. I don't know if the whistle came from the stands or on the field, but I think some of the players heard a whistle.
Some of the officials literally on the field trying to uncover that pileup as Jay Henry was in there for West Virginia. But it looked like Doug Jones, number 86, the big fullback we just talked about, came up with the football.
Yeah, you think you can take a ball away from him at 270 pounds? Forget about it. That's more. That ball is out. That's a legitimate fumble. You know, that ground is wet. It was raining before the game started, so that ball slides around.
Warren Young stripped the ball, but the fullback Jones picked it up, and that brings up a 3rd and 8 for the Bearcats. 3 receivers in for Grutza, who works out of the shotgun. And he can run with the ball, displays it now, but will be stopped about 5 yards short of the first down by Mark Magro, middle linebacker from right here in Morgantown. So both teams come out with 3 and outs. And Cincinnati forced to punt for the first time, as they were fortunate to even hold on to the football against Cincinnati, coming in here winners of 4 of its last 5. This is the 3rd big or top 10 team that they have had to play on the road. Vaughn Rivers awaits the punt, and it's going to take a huge Cincinnati roll and is killed at the 22-yard line. Make that a 48-yard punt for Steele. Steve Slayton, still waiting for him to have his first carry. West Virginia has the football when we come back. This telecast is available on ESPN2 HD, presented by Pioneer Plasma Displays. As we join you from Morgantown, the second time West Virginia will have the football, and on their offense, in their offense rather, we highlight their 4 wide receivers, Renaud, and Brandon Miles, 2 of the big play receivers for Pat White. As markers come down, White has that ball tipped, and it is caught. Morgan tipped it, Renaud caught it, but there was a flag at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and the offensive line just now moved, and they snapped that ball and never moved. They were frozen, and that threw off some of the Cincinnati guys.
That was a 13-yard gain. Would be a first down if it holds up.
Just watch the offensive line on this thing. There's the ball. Nobody moves. Nice little fake. How about that?
What happened? Moses is the center, a terrific center, and he jerked just a little bit.
Yeah, that's intentional. That's just one of those little gimmicks that Rich Rodriguez will throw at you every now and then.
Wow. And it paid off. The tip went going into the hands of Renaud for the first down. White with the roll. Here's a guy who has 3 straight 100-yard rushing games, the quarterback, and he picks up 3.
Hey, what are these guys doing? This offensive line, I think it's like comic relief out there. These guys are just holding their stance, falling over. Look at this. And once they make one move, they can't move anymore. He's down on the ground there. Don't move, don't move.
I have never seen that before, Rob. This is a first. And now they've done it twice in a row. That time they picked up 3 yards. We're still waiting for Slayton to get his first carry. More flags as Slayton does get his first carry. And it's not a productive one. In fact, he loses 3 yards.
Yeah, and he carried that ball in his right hand, which is not what he wants to do. He can't control that ball very well with the right hand, as Jimmy Dykes told you earlier, but he was running towards the right sideline. And you're offside as a running back.
Number 56 defense. End up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Play second down.
You're taught as a running back to carry the ball towards the sideline, and that's a natural habit he hasn't broken. As the rain starts to come down and you take a look at the impact players for Cincinnati, Dominic Ross, really something at the strong safety spot. He likes to nose up around the line of scrimmage.
And Trevor Anderson, the defensive end, he was the player, the Cincinnati Bearcat, who was lined up in the neutral zone, which caused that offsides. And yeah, it just really started to pour. It's been sort of a weird day. We have showers that come down like nothing else, and then it stops for a while, and now it's already starting to lighten up. But boy, Steve Slayton, you see he's got the right wrist, he's got both wrists taped up, and that wrist will need surgery after the season. It was the left wrist that he hurt last week.
He showed us both of them yesterday, and he couldn't really curl the right wrist, only the left one. And he said, you know, I just really can't carry the ball over there comfortably.
A natural right-hander who's learned to carry it in his left wrist. Initially hurt that right wrist last season. Has been playing with a bad wrist all year, and that doesn't get anything. Cincinnati defense staying stout on Slayton, who loses a couple. And the Cincinnati defense much improved. They are 13th in the nation in rushing defense. They were 90th in the nation last year. And their corners, a lot of pressure on Bowie and Mickens are both good, but they play a lot of man coverage.
Yeah, and that allows the other 9 guys to play run defense.
Their safeties get a lot of tackles, Nakamura and Ross, as West Virginia faces a 3rd and 4. White, he could do it. Big time. Pat White, the quarterback, gets a first down and a whole lot more as he goes all the way down to the 30-yard line, a 29-yard gain.
Yeah, Pam, more teams focus on Slayton, and that opens things up for Pat White. He's going to find a lane that way. This is just your simple option. He hits it right outside. He's almost like a tailback in that situation, running through that sort of a zone play out there.
He is second in the Big East in career rushing for quarterbacks behind Rasheed Marshall, who went here to West Virginia, and as a sophomore, he is going to just obliterate that record. 1st and 10 now from the 30 of Cincinnati. Slayton right up the middle, and he only picks up about a yard before Mike Mickens gets him, and we get our first update now from Brian Kenny.
Pam, thank you very much. Brian Kenny here in our ESPN digital screening area where the actual work is done, where we bring you all the highlights from the college football day. 3 other ranked teams in action right now this early afternoon. We'll have all the action throughout the day here on ESPN2, right here where we get the highlights ready for you. Right now, let's go back to you in West Virginia. Pam?
All right, thanks, Brian. So Brian will be standing by all day in our nifty new digital center. White, protection breaks down, but he can get away from trouble. Tucks and runs. And picks up maybe a yard.
Oh, he had plenty of time. Just couldn't find anyone open. And that's one of the things that happens with West Virginia. Defensively, teams are saying, if you're going to beat us, we want Pat White to throw the ball. We want them to throw it in the middle of the field, mid-range passes. They don't want him to throw it deep, and they don't want him to run.
He's an improving passer, but definitely hurts you more with the rush. He only had 113 pass attempts on the season coming into this game. And now they face a passing situation on 3rd and 7. Cincinnati showing blitz. Here they come. White gets it off, and it is incomplete as Reynaud is unable to bring it in with the Bearcat closing quickly on him.
And they will hit you. We talked about this defense being physical. Just watch Dominic Ross right there in the middle of your screen. He's going to show up here and get a big hit right now. The last 5 games, this defense has grown in confidence. They're intimidating people with hits like that.
Corey Smith, number 42, with big pressure up the middle on that play as Pat McAfee comes in to attempt a 44-yard field goal. His career high is a 48, and that one hit both uprights. And the cannon goes off, but it's not good. It was a premature cannon firing. McAfee misses it as he plunks it off both uprights, and we're still scoreless.
ESPN2's College Football is presented by Pennzoil, not just oil, Pennzoil. And in part by ESPN Game Plan, Maximum College Football. To order, call your pay-per-view provider or log on to ESPN.com, search Game Plan. And Guinness Draft Stout. Drink responsibly. Brilliant.
The poncho concessions are a hot item here in West Virginia as the fans come out. We are scoreless so far. This is Cincinnati coming up now on its 2nd possession of the game, and they are facing a West Virginia defense that Dustin Grutz is looking at a couple of new cornerbacks who are starting for the Mountaineers. They went 3 and out on their first possession, completes that one to his tight end, the talented Brent Selleck, who picks up 5.
Dustin Grutz's pass is complete. Number 85, Brent Selleck.
And you're talking about those changes in the secondary. West Virginia's secondary did not play well against Louisville. And so they made some wholesale changes. They had different corners. They even found themselves a corner who wasn't even in their media guy.
That's right, 23. There he is. Gesley Derville, a true freshman who had played only 15 to 20 snaps on defense all season before today. He wasn't playing anywhere last year. Now he's starting for West Virginia as Butler Benton, the backup tailback, loses a yard. Let's take a look at that West Virginia defensive lineup. And Gesley Derville, that's one of those new starting corners along with Larry Williams. Eric Wicks, a mainstay at boundary safety, but Gesley not even in the media guide. He was originally recruited, signed with Illinois, and then did not get into school. And last year, he didn't go to school anywhere, didn't play any football. And here he is in his first career start.
Well, as soon as Cincinnati figures it out and finds him, they're going to go after him.
Because they don't know who number 23 is either. 3rd and 6 now for the Bearcats. Grutza with time. Gets Bill Poland, and Poland appears to have picked up the first down, and he has. Poland, the senior from Cincinnati.
This is just a crossing route. He'll go from left to right. He'll come around this way on your screen. Sorry, here he is going that way. Backwards. Crossing routes are difficult to cover because they're running away from you. Receivers running away from you.
And Poland is the guy who has been a possession receiver for the Bearcats. That is their first down of this game, as the ball now is on the 38. Benton remains in the backfield. Grutza swings it out, completes it to Jared Martin, and Martin is wrestled out of bounds after about a 5-yard gain. Eric Wicks coming up with the stop. Mark D'Antonio now tells us a little bit more about his starting QB.
I think this year he's getting much better as the season progresses. He makes great decisions at the line of scrimmage and can make some plays with his feet. He's a leader. He's a guy who has strength right here and will carry the football team. And we're very happy with the way he's playing, but equally we're impressed with him as a young man and what he's been able to do.
He is 3 for 3 for 17 yards so far. He was a starter last year as a redshirt freshman, but was challenged a bit this year by Nick Davila, who was a junior college transfer. as Benton gets the ball and takes it right up the middle, stopped about a yard short of the first down.
Well, you're right, and Grutza benefited from that challenge that he got from Davila. It made him a better quarterback. The competition pushed him, and they played 2 quarterbacks early in the season. And then Grutza won it, and he's been an efficient guy, taking care of the football and thriving in this run-dominated offense.
In fact, Grutza was the Big East Player of the Week the last time they played. That was October 28th against Syracuse, 205 yards and a touchdown. Cincinnati did not play last week, so they're coming off of their bye week, and now they face a 3rd and 2. And Benton, who is used more in short yardage situations, gets the first down. There are 3 tailbacks that Cincinnati uses. Benton actually more of a speed guy than the power guy. It was Bradley Glottauer. And we've seen Greg Moore as the starter, but Moore over the last couple of games really has emerged as the #1 back.
Yeah, Moore is the guy that they like to feature. They'll give him the ball to get him a chance to get into a rhythm, get warm, but they'll use the other 2 as a change of pace.
And Cincinnati does pick up that first down, so now they have it 1st and 10, just short of midfield. Benton remains in the backfield. Grutza, as protection breaks down, Warren Young able to get in on the quarterback.
That defensive line bringing pressure. Here you see right up the middle, busting through a double team. Warren Young does a nice job. This is a guy who, we weren't certain he would play because he had a concussion earlier in the week. He bounced back from it.
Brought the pressure, and now that brings up 2nd and 10. West Virginia's done a great job of pressuring quarterbacks in the last 4 games. They have 16 sacks on the season, all coming in the last 4. Grutza again goes back to that same sideline route with Jared Martin, and Martin picks up the first down. Jared
Grutza's pass
with a 14-yard gain.
Complete to Jared Martin. 41, Eric Wicks.
I think Cincinnati finally figured out where they'd find number 23 right there. That's Durbin. Ernest Jackson was able to get by, help Martin get by him with a nice block.
So they're going after 23. Gesley Derville making his first ever start. And Louisville, of course, was able to put up a lot of passing yards last week against West Virginia.
They have to find him, Pam, because he goes from side to side depending on where the ball is on the field.
1st and 10 now from the 37 for the Bearcats. A little play-action roll. And Grutza is able to somehow escape the sack and picks up a first down all the way down to the 20. And Dustin Grutza, you're never going to see this guy slide. He likes to go in, put his head down, and he'll get every inch that he can.
We talked to him the other day. He said, sliding, that's kind of wimpy. They try to teach me to do it, but I won't do it. And you can see it here. I mean, this determination. Watch him at the end here. I mean, he's full face forward. No sliding. He's trying to pick up every yard he can get.
That was a 17-yard gain on the 10th play of the drive coming up now. Cincinnati has a nice drive going. They picked up 53 yards now on 9 plays, and they have it 1st and 10 from the 20, trying to strike first. And Grutza on a design run, and that one doesn't work out so well at all. As we go back to the studio now, and Brian Kenny.
Pam, this cut-in brought to you by Taco Bell. John L. Smith, final home game for Michigan State. It was senior day. There's a lot of emotion there. Look at this. Against Minnesota, the block punt. Enrique Shaw, Kyle Pelting picked it up. Touchdown, Michigan State. Now after this, they get a goal line stand, and then Minnesota pinned back and driven back. Amir Penix, Clifton Ryan in on the tackle. 9-0 Michigan State, man.
So they actually called the safety. and it stayed.
Last week, Clemson, Maryland, the safety.
At Maryland. Terrible call, but Maryland won anyway. Boy, Minnesota and Michigan State, a couple of enigmas in the Big Ten this year.
A lot of speculation about who's going to get the job at Michigan State.
Including the head coach at Cincinnati. 2nd and 14, and that ball is knocked down by Boo McClee, the senior from Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Boo able to get a hand on it. Now 3rd and long coming up.
Stop passes over the middle by having your linebackers get good depth, and that's what happens here. You see them drop back in there, and Boo McClee manages to be in the right spot. That's a linebacker doing a good job of getting depth.
Almost got an interception. Last year against Cincinnati, did have an interception and returned it for 30 yards. And now a 3rd and 14 Cincinnati 2 for 2 on third down so far on this drive. They have to get to the 10 to keep the drive alive. Flag is down as Grutza dumps it in the general vicinity of a lot of offensive linemen.
It is incomplete.
Ridwan Malik, a junior strong safety with some good pressure on Grutza.
Offsides. Number 55 defense. Lined up in the neutral zone to snap. 5-yard penalty. Replay third down.
So Bobby Hathaway will make it now a 3rd and 9 as Hathaway jumps off sides. Rich Rodriguez's West Virginia team trying to bounce back from a loss to Louisville 9 days ago. They are still very much in the Big East title hunt after Louisville's loss to Rutgers the other day. Rutgers and West Virginia close out their regular seasons right here on December 2nd. But this Cincinnati team trying to become bowl eligible. One more win and they are bowl eligible. Now facing a 3rd and 9. 3 receivers to Grutza's right, and they had a couple of linemen on the right side move early. Trevor Canfield, the right guard in particular, got up early.
Prior to the snap, false start, 72 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
And they did get Digger Butnock.
Yeah, Butnock is just a little bit anxious over there. Now, this is going to force D'Antonio to be a little bit more conservative. He'd be happy to take a 3-0 lead here. And that'd be a good start for Cincinnati. Get this ball towards the center of the field, an easier field goal attempt. You don't want to get pushed out of field goal range here with the sack because West Virginia will bring pressure.
Kevin Lavelle is their place kicker. On 3rd and 14, and they do go the safe route, just like Rod predicted. They stay conservative with Benton. And Benton runs a long way to only pick up a yard before he is corralled by Quentin Andrews.
I think that's the right call for Cincinnati. You have to remember, this team is very confident, and they've played well so far. Defensively, they've done a nice job against West Virginia. Why not go ahead and get 3 points and get up on West Virginia and remind West Virginia they still haven't gotten untracked from that last loss to Louisville.
Steve Slayton has 2 carries for a grand total of 0 yards so far for West Virginia. Here is Lavelle, the left-footed kicker from 40 yards out. Well within his range. And he's able to knock it home. So Cincinnati strikes first, capping off a 13-play, 50-yard drive with a 40-yard field goal by Kevin Lavelle. We're waiting for Steve Slayton to get going. Will it be on this next possession? Cincinnati has gotten on the board first with a Kevin Lavelle 40-yard field goal. They lead number 10 West Virginia 3-0, and Cincinnati has one of the most, fiery defensive coordinators in the country, and Pat Narduzzi in his 3rd season in charge of this defense. And we had him mic'd up before the game. We'll hear from him in just a minute. And he's a guy who will come down from his coach's box in the 4th quarter to get down on the sidelines, and his defensive guys love that.
And it's hard to keep a helmet off of him. He's into it.
He is ready to go as Lavelle kicks it to Renaud, who takes it out. He's about 4 yards deep in the end zone, and Darius wants to get something going on his own. And he has a nice return up to the 32-yard line.
Tackle by 58.
But there is a flag on the field.
Back in the area where you find the kicking team offsides.
Offsides. Number 5 in the kicking team. The 5-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the run. First down.
So that's the defensive coordinator Pat Narduzzi. Now, here's what he was doing pregame.
Big day, big day! Big day! Oh yeah! Bring the thunder too, baby! Let's go, bring the thunder! You knock someone out today. Got me? Let's go, let's go. Don't even look up there, don't even look up there. Don't give them the time of day. You heard it, you heard it. You guys stink is what they're telling you. That's what they say you stink. We'll see what's up, we'll see what's up. Don't even look up there.
That is awesome from Narduzzi as White swings the pass out to Renaud, who has been by far his favorite weapon today, and Darius picks up about 8. And Narduzzi, his dad was a coach, so he comes from that background. His dad was the head coach at Youngstown State before Jim Tressel took over, and there you see what the defense has done. Again, 13th in the country in rushing yards. Last year they were 90th, and he said a lot of that, he had a lot of young kids last year, but they have grown up certainly and grown into his system. But he's the kind of guy you probably want to go down there and play
No
for.
doubt. You listen to him, you're like, let me suit up right now.
Very enthusiastic. Done a great job with this defense. Now 2nd and 2. White hangs on to it and picks up the first down. So the quarterback continues to be the leading rusher for West Virginia. And we get you back now to Brian Kenny. Brian.
And let's get out to Wisconsin and Iowa. Wisconsin has won 6 in a row. Normally a backup, Tyler Donovan. Back there for John Stocco, who's out with a shoulder injury. Touchdown pass to Travis Beckham. 35 straight starts for John Stocco. That ends after this one. Donovan is in. He's got Wisconsin up on top.
Iowa fighting through what has been a very disappointing season for them, as Tyler Donovan is the starting quarterback today for the Badgers. Steve Slayton takes it. Flags are down as Steve gets into Cincinnati territory. That's a 5-yard gain, and really the first positive yardage for Slayton on the day. And it's coming back. A hold against the Mountaineers.
Holding. Number 76 offense. 10-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Replay first down.
That's our All-American center, Dan Moses, with the hold.
Now, look at what Cincinnati does. They bring pressure inside. West Virginia anticipates it, and then they have a nice option outside for Slayton. They catch the blitz inside, and so Slayton is able to get outside on that read option play. They got to get him involved. And if they can catch Cincinnati inside, Slayton will have a chance to get something going. And Narduzzi is very well aware of containing Slayton.
And they have done such a good job on that so far. Slayton wipe out that 5-yard gain. Still 2 carries for no yards. They go right back to Slayton. And he is pushed back right at the 40. Kevin McCullough already with 5 tackles, the middle backer in there.
Pam, Slayton is really the spark plug of this offense. It's sort of like watching a basketball team that likes to dunk. And if they don't get the dunk and they play a set routine, they're not as exciting, not as good. When Slayton doesn't get the ball and doesn't get big plays, this offense kind of shrinks a little bit.
Cincinnati has allowed only 2 100-yard rushers all season, as White would have had a first down, but that pass is dropped by Steve Slayton. So Slayton can't get it going on the ground, and right there he dropped what would have been a first down.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that had to do with his right wrist, because it looked like that ball was towards the right side of his body, and his right arm, right hand was used first, and that's not the good wrist. And he can't curl or really catch the ball with that right wrist.
West Virginia has gone 13 straight games in which they have not been shut out in the first quarter. And they're 25 seconds away from breaking that string. And this is a 3rd and 19 for White. Blitz coming. And he gets it off, and he completes it. Throwing it very nicely over the defender to Brandon Miles. And they've been waiting for Miles to have a breakout game. That helps. They needed 19 and got 30 and the first down.
Now give credit to Pat White for recognizing the corner blitz. And as soon as he picks this up, he knows he can make a play to that side. It's going to come from the top there. He sees it. There's Mickens 21. And now once he's outside of it, he's got time to find his receiver down there. Good job by Pat White.
That's what makes him so dangerous. Just when you think you have him contained, he can make a play. Now on the option, the late pitch to Owen Schmidt, and the big fullback hurdling over some people, looking like Brian Leonard as he picks up 13 and gets a first down.
Yeah, and he was watching Louisville the other night. Louisville against Rutgers, and he's seen Brian Leonard do that. And he can get his 250 pounds up too.
So West Virginia didn't do a whole lot for most of the first quarter, but they are rolling now. They have a first down on the 17 as we will reverse field, and the second quarter gets underway from Morgantown. Cincinnati leading 3-0. West Virginia, high-scoring offense in the Big East, averaging 40 points per game, shut out in the first quarter by Cincinnati, now up 3-0. And West Virginia now in the red zone, and they have been deadly. That's 97% of the time they have scored. That is obscene. And now Pat White trying to keep that going. And that's a good tackle as White will lose 3 yards. Corey Smith sophomore from Salem, New Jersey with the stop.
Yeah, Corey Smith makes the tackle, but it's Terrell Bird who makes the play. Watch your nose tackle right there. I mean, he's up against a very good center in Dan Moses, handles him like that, throws him out of the way, cuts off that outside run. And that's a great matchup inside. Two guys that have the potential to be all-conference and all-America.
And Bird has said that. He says, that's my job, to let the linebackers get off and make the plays. I don't get a lot of tackles, but I don't let it bother me. Reynaud is bothering him as Darius gets it inside the 5-yard line. He picks up 15 yards. It'll be 1st and goal, and really Reynaud has been the big play guy for them, not Slayton.
Yeah, he's really picked up the offense. Give a little credit to Pat White on a nice fake here. Slayton with a nice fake of the handoff there from White, and then the reverse. Nobody yelling reverse.
And Reynaud is the guy who's gotten quite a few reverses. He had 9 carries for 118 yards on the season coming into this game. That's over 13 yards per carry. And now it's 1st and goal. And they go to Slayton. Slayton fumbled twice last week against Louisville. Dominic Ross, the senior captain, with another big hit for the Bearcats.
You know, this defense will not be intimidated. Hey, watch Ross come up here and lay some leather. You know. He just knocked Slayton. Slayton is not a tiny guy. And he's about 195 pounds, 190 pounds solid. And he took a big shot there.
Steve is listed at 5'10", 195. 2nd and goal from the 3 for the Mountaineers. And Pat White finds the end zone. White's 14th rushing touchdown of the season. And West Virginia takes its first lead. So Pat White now with 10 rushing touchdowns in his last 4 games as he caps off a big drive for the Mountaineers. McAfee with the point after. So Pat White, tied for number 1 in the Big East and number 6 in the NCAA in scoring, gets his first 6 of the day, and number 10 West Virginia has the lead. That is one heck of a face painting job for that West Virginia fan, something to cheer about as West Virginia takes the lead 7-3. The Sonic scoring drive for the hometown Mountaineers. They went 62 yards in 4 minutes and 2 seconds. And that young man, Pat White, now has scored a rushing touchdown in his 7th straight game.
And don't forget about Darius Reynaud and what he did on that drive. He was Mr. Explosive. Big reverse with a big play in that series.
Brandon Miles also catching a big 30-yard pass on a 3rd and 19 to keep the drive alive. Short kickoff is fair caught at the 24-yard line. And that is where Cincinnati takes over. Marcus Waugh, backup fullback, with the kick catch.
And let's go back to that touchdown. Watch White here. He becomes a tailback. This is not an option. This is simply a zone run play to the left side. Schmidt on the bottom gets a great block, but you have your quarterback operating just as a tailback. No option there for West Virginia. They've even moved Slayton outside and let him block. And Pat White, 10 rushing touchdowns in the last 4 games.
Leading them now with 6 carries. Leading them in rushing, 6 carries for 36 yards. Still waiting for Slayton to get going as Cincinnati gets the football. And that's a great job by the West Virginia defense to string out Greg Moore as a flag is down on the play. Moore lost about a yard. All right, now let's check in with Brian Kenny after the holding call.
Thank you, Pam. 110th meeting between Georgia and Auburn. Georgia has lost 4 of 5 coming in here. Matthew Stafford, though, puts it up to A.J. Bryant. Bryant is there, and he's picking up 53 yards. From there, they put it to the ground, and against a team that has won 21 of their last 23, they're going to put it through. Craig Lumpkin in with the touchdown for the Bulldogs, 7-0. It's still early.
Thank you, Brian. What an upset that would be for Georgia. They've had a mess of trouble scoring points.
Can you imagine that? Georgia losing to Kentucky last week.
Oh,
well, what's been going on in Athens?
Oh man, Mark Richt down there and company under a lot of heat. Bradley Glodhauer, the power back, number 11, is now in for Cincinnati. One of the tailbacks they use, and he goes down immediately. Boo McClee says boo and gets him right away.
And if you're wondering, now why would Cincinnati run the ball on 1st and 20? Well, they're trying to be patient. Don Treadwell is their offensive coordinator, and he knows what type of team he has. He doesn't have a team that is a quick strike team. He wants to be patient, and he wants to keep the West Virginia offense on the sideline.
He would love nothing better than a nice 80-yard drive here to chew up a lot of clock. Now he's facing a 2nd and 20. Rutza has to throw, and another short pass out to Derek Stewart. That picks up 6 yards. Stewart, really the deep threat that Cincinnati hasn't had in a while. Picked up 6 on that play.
And they continue to work on Durble. They try to find him. He's the field corner. He's always going to be to the wide side of the field. Cincinnati has a little bit of a bead on that now, so they'll try and match up Stewart out there with Durble.
Just joining us, Durble, true freshman, first ever start.
Yeah, and expect them to take Rutza and move him out of the pocket.
Rutza 5 for 7, but for only 37 yards. Going with the short stuff and now facing a 3rd and 14. And Rutza, under a lot of pressure, goes down. Sacked at the 15-yard line. It's Boo again. Boo McClee coming in with the sack.
He said, Boo, I got you.
He's been seeing Boo a lot on this drive.
Yeah, Rutza wanted to get outside. A little bit of a half roll to the left, but then they stop that. They don't allow him to get outside, and Boo McClee comes from the opposite side to make the sack.
West Virginia's 17th sack on the season, all of them coming in the last 4 games, and now 4+. As Brian Steele is in, Vaughn Rivers waits at his 42-yard line. Line driver, returnable, and Rivers does just that. Good field position as a late flag comes in, a flag coming in. 37-yard kick and a 16-yard return. Rivers 3rd in the Big East in punt returns, but that one's going to come back.
It's a block in the back. That's going to cost them some yardage. They were in great field position there, looking somewhere around the 37, 38-yard line.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 49 return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
David Colburn, backup linebacker, the transgressor. Coming up later today, ABC and ESPN team up to bring in the top 2 teams in the nation a week before their big showdown at 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Troy Smith and the Buckeyes take on Northwestern. 3:30 Eastern on ESPN H2. On ESPN HD, Michigan taking on Indiana. College football presented by Best Buy on ABC and Cars.com on ESPN. College football lives here. Mark D'Antonio has ties. Ohio State Buckeyes, he was the defensive coordinator when they won the national championship a few years ago. Here's Slayton, finally able to break free for 6 yards. Let's go down to the field now. Here's Jimmy Dykes.
Well, Pam, that's interesting. Patrick White, the quarterback for West Virginia, he told me he's gone from watching film as a redshirt freshman to really studying it with a purpose this year. I asked him what in particular stood out about watching the Cincinnati film this week. He said, the safeties of Cincinnati play games with me. He said they're very good at showing one coverage, then adjusting to another on the snap of the ball. He says his last check before every snap will be what are those Cincinnati safeties doing.
Facing a blitz from the secondary this time, swings it out to Slayton. And he is stopped a couple of yards short of the first down, only picked up about 2.
Yeah, Jimmy Dykes is absolutely right about what Pat White is looking for. And the Cincinnati safeties, they try to consistently show you a 2-deep coverage. They try to keep 2 safeties back deep, and then they want White to guess what they're going to do. So if they're blitzing, they're trying to hold it back there as long as possible before moving towards the line of scrimmage. They're lining up right now, showing kind of a 2-deep coverage. You can see them, 2 safeties back there, trying to show him that.
As West Virginia faces the 3rd and 1, Slayton in the backfield gets it and picks up the first down. Check that, it's Owen Schmidt, the big fullback. And Schmidt picks up 5 and a West Virginia first down.
And West Virginia wants to keep those safeties out of the run game. They do a good job of it here by the quick hitter with Schmidt.
First and 10.
When Cincinnati can get their safeties involved, they have 8 and 9 guys involved with the run game. And that makes it difficult to run against.
Schmidt from Fairfax, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. Picking up the first down, first and 10 from the 36. And now it's Slayton's turn to get the football. We're still waiting for Steve Slayton to break through in this game, as he is stopped that time by Adam Hoppel.
As we talked to Slayton yesterday, did you find him a little bit more soft-spoken than you expected?
Yes, very soft-spoken, but I was told by the other guys we were around that that's not always the case. He and Pat White are very, very good friends. They hang out all the time. Not roommates, but Slayton, who West Virginia was on very early as a running back. Remember, Maryland rescinded its scholarship offer to him. White airing that one out, looking for the touchdown. The catch is made. What a catch. Brandon Miles, touchdown Mountaineers.
Talk about perfect execution. What about that throw and then the great catch on man-to-man coverage. And those safeties get involved because they are free for the man coverage. Mickens can't get up there with Brandon Miles, who's about 6'3", and Mickens is only about 5'11". What a great catch, and yes, he has a foot in fact, 2 feet in.
Now, the coaches told us earlier this week, Rich Rodriguez says we're waiting for Brandon to have a breakout game, and that was a terrific catch. They are reviewing it upstairs.
Well, the great thing about that play was that Pat White gave Miles a chance to make the catch. And he put the ball up where he could get it. Now look for the right foot. I believe the right foot is the first one that's in bounds. Tough to tell from that angle.
And the question will be, too, did Miles have complete control of the football as he came down?
Yep, looks like that left foot is in and also the right foot.
How did he hold on to that ball? Because Mickens had him by the forearm trying to grab the ball.
Great concentration, but look at that. That left foot comes down in the blue and the right foot. That should be confirmed.
Ruled a touchdown on the field and has to be indisputable video evidence to overturn it.
Yeah, nothing we saw there suggested that that ball was caught out of bounds.
And if it holds up, that will be the 4th touchdown catch of the season for Miles.
Well, you know, and we talked about the throws that you want to force Pat White to make. That's not the one you want to force because he can throw that deep ball and he can throw the short ball. What you want to do is force him to squeeze the ball in the 15, 17-yard range. Come on, guys. Get it going. We saw that. That's good. Get it going.
After review, the play stands as called on the field. Touchdown, West Virginia.
John McDade kind of giving away. You see his arms? He was ready to throw up the touchdown sign.
Yeah,
he was ready.
Come on, hurry it up. We saw that one. It was good. Let's move on with the ball game.
Pat White, his 7th touchdown pass of the season, and Mark D'Antonio looking dour as his team about to fall behind here, 14-3, as McAfee's in for the extra point. So Pat White with a good throw, Brandon Miles with a better catch. That's a 34-yard scoring play. The Mountaineers have scored 2 touchdowns in a row and lead it 14-3.
ESPN2's College Football, brought to you by the new LS, unprecedented, allnewls.com, and Aflac. Ask about it at work.
That's the way to get around the West Virginia University campus, the Morgantown Personal Rapid Transit System. Automated, you get good views.
Did you ride that yesterday?
No, I'm afraid of that. I didn't get on that. It's cute, though.
It is.
This cute little blue and gold cars.
A little high above ground for you.
Yeah, because they're way up here in the mountains of West Virginia. And the Mountaineer fans, something to cheer about, as they have now scored 2 touchdowns here in the second quarter to take a 14-3 lead. as they try to kick away from Derek Stewart. Greg Moore picks up the kick and returns it to about the 28-yard line. It's a 24-yard return for him. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Yeah, you know, Pam, as you always tell me, 3-deep coverage. Rule, deep is the deepest, wide is the widest. Watch what happens here. Now, they're playing 3-deep zone. You can tell by looking at the safety in the corners. Everybody's got a deep third. Mickens on the bottom does not stay deep as the deepest or wide as the widest to his side, and that ball is able to go behind him and over him. He just violated a basic rule.
Deep is the deepest. Don't let anybody get behind you. Chris Spielman taught me that.
Deep is the deepest, wide is the widest.
And that did not quite work out, but still a great play by Miles to gather it in. And now let's see what Grutze and company do. Down 14-3. This grinded out offense. Got to try to get back into the game. And Grutze throws it behind Bill Poland as another flag is down. We've had quite a few of them so far in this game. Looks like we're going to get a roughing call against West Virginia for getting in on Grutze.
Amazing. You know, West Virginia usually plays well, but penalties, they've had trouble with that all season long.
Roughing the passer. Number 53 defense. 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
Mark Magro, the backup middle linebacker.
And this is just a little bit over anxious. That's a big-time shot. I mean, that wasn't even close.
Ooh. And it came up high, too, on Grutze's head. And you mentioned they've been bothered by penalties all season, most in the NCAA. 79 yards a game. That's tremendously bad.
Yeah, and that's a big 15-yarder. That tells you. That's how you get up to 79 a game.
4 penalties for 40 yards so far today. So instead of a 2nd and 10, it's a 1st and 10 now, and they move them up 15 yards to the 43. Time for Grutze, but nobody's open. He can run. Finally decides to tuck it, breaks a couple of would-be tackles, and then loses the football. It appears, yes, Cincinnati has recovered. Trevor Canfield, the right guard, saving the day as Grutze lost the ball.
That's the risk when you don't slide. You can take a big hit, and you might give up the football. He doesn't protect this when he gets hit inside by Reed Williams. He's a tough guy, but sometimes you got to be smart and not so tough.
Yeah, just for ball security's sake, much less his body's sake. But he said that they have taught him, especially last year, about sliding and how to do it, and he just refused. He says it's wimpy.
Don't go take it on linebackers.
No, that would not be smart. Better to be smart than hurt. Butler Benton with the carry gets it close to a first down as we head back to Brian Kenny.
Georgia Tech can clinch a spot in the ACC title game with a win, taking on North Carolina. Rashard Choice, already over 70 yards rushing, goes in on the 3rd and goal, which Davis rumblings, of course, for North Carolina. Iowa's just taken the lead on Wisconsin, 14-10 with 2 minutes plus in the first half. That's over on ESPN. Pam, Rod?
All right, Drew Tate and company, Tyler Donovan, starting in place of John Stocco. His 36-game starting streak over as Cincinnati faces a 3rd and 1. Benton gets it and gets the first down rather easily as he gets around the left side of that offensive line for 8. Marcus Waugh, the fullback, number 35, came in there and helped clear the way for Benton.
Now, Cincinnati is a patient football team. There you see Don Treadwell, the offensive coordinator. He believes in making sure they do what they do well. And they're patient. The first 4 games, he told us maybe he got away from the run too soon. Not so the last 5 games, 200 yards a game. This is a guy who learned some of what he knows about coaching the offense with an internship he had with the 49ers of the NFL several years ago.
And in case you think the first 4 games were against nobodies, the first 4 games included Pitt, Ohio State, and Virginia Tech, and that's when they were held down. And Benton again gets the carry over that left side of the offensive line and picks up 3.
And Pam, one of the other benefits of running the ball and being patient here is that Cincinnati defense gets a chance to collect itself on the sideline and talk about what West Virginia is doing offensively. And that's invaluable. And when your offensive coaches are in sync with the defensive coaches, that is helpful. There you see them working on it right now. And if they had gone 3 and out, they wouldn't be able to do that. There's Narduzzi. He's trying to figure out what do we need.
As the rain has started to fall yet again. in Morgantown. 2nd and 7. Brutes are going to throw it. And he has a man open, but unable to keep his feet in bounds is Brent Selleck. And Selleck earlier in this game went over 1,000 career yards. He's the most prolific tight end in the Big East this year. Let's head down to Jimmy Dykes.
I think the rain swept him away.
Jimmy's down there. There he is. Jimmy, go.
Hey, the crown on this field drops off 2 feet from the middle of the field to the sidelines. As a result, Cincinnati came here yesterday specifically for the quarterbacks to adjust to the heavy crown on this field. Concerned about possibly overthrowing to the sidelines. That's just what happened to him.
That's right, as he was unable to find Selleck, who's a big target at 6'4". And that one is complete to Goodman. But here you go, about a 4th and 1. So what do you do if you're Mark D'Antonio?
Well, I think with your running game as it has been, you go ahead and take a shot here, give your team a little confidence. But, you know, Jimmy Dykes is exactly right about that crown. You saw that picture of the Cincinnati players. You couldn't see the bottom half. You couldn't see their legs. And what that means is that quarterback is throwing downhill, and he has to adjust for that. And right now, he's not going to throw it. But here's what I'm talking about. You can't see the lower half of anybody's body because of the crown.
It's one of the most pronounced crowns I've ever seen from the old days when they had the old AstroTurf here and they could not drain it from underneath, and the crown has remained. Benton in the backfield as they go for it on 4th and 1. Wall, the fullback, he loses it. Doesn't matter anyway because they weren't going to get the first down, and West Virginia gets the football.
Well, here's the thing I don't get, though. Why run something slow developing and go wide? You got a 270-pound fullback and a 225-pound back. Go right at him. They didn't. West Virginia snuffed it out.
Mark D'Antonio not looking very happy as they don't convert on that 4th and 1. His team is down 14-3, and it's raining. Long before Mark D'Antonio got the job, there's our own Mike Gottfried, looking very 80s there with the haircut and the polyester pants. He's the head coach from 81 to 82. Mike is home today, and we send our best wishes to Mike, one of the good guys on this planet.
Absolutely, Coach. Get yourself healthy and get back here. These shoes are awfully big. I can't fill these shoes.
Rod Gilmore filling in for Mike this weekend. Mike watching at home, I'm sure, in Alabama. At least Mike gets to watch a lot of football today. Pat White has to retreat and throws that hastily incomplete. So as we took a look at Mike Gottfried, it leads to our Aflac trivia question. He led Cincinnati to back-to-back 6 and 5 seasons. We want to know who the next Cincinnati head coach was with consecutive winning seasons after Mike Gottfried. And we will let Rodney ponder on that one. I think Mike could get this one right.
You think he kept up with that sort of thing?
I think he knows a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he knows his Cincinnati stuff. 2nd and 10 now for West Virginia. Slayton gets his biggest run of the day by far. This is what Steve Slayton can do. Slayton, touchdown. He had 6 carries for 11 yards until that 65-yard bust out.
Oh, he's back. He is back.
Slayton has been struggling, lost a couple of fumbles last week in the loss to Louisville, had been struggling early today, but it's just a matter of time with a guy with that much talent. And you're not going to catch him if he gets into the open field. Pat McAfee adds the extra point, a 21-point second quarter for the Mountaineers. And Slayton with a career-long 65-yard run.
Well, take a look at here. You get a great block here. This is the read option. He's going to find the lane. Finds the lane, and then more blocking on the perimeter. Miles with a nice block outside on Mickens, the corner. That's all that Slayton needs, and he's going to outrun everybody else. It's read option. Nice job. He finds that lane, and then the block out there on the perimeter by Miles. That's all you need. That is all you need. No way you're going to come across the field if you're John Bowie and catch it.
And Jake Figner, the right tackle, number 73, had the good initial block at the line of scrimmage. And look at Slayton now with that 65-yard run. He really beat him up last year, did Slayton, as he ran for 4 touchdowns and 129 yards. The Mountaineers, 297 yards on the ground as they whomped Cincinnati 38-0.
You know, Pam, you watch him run, there's a lot of Tony Dorsett in what he does, in his gait, his speed, his quickness, and even his stature. And he reminds me so much of Tony Dorsett.
Coming into this game, second in the country in rushing, averaging 152 yards per game, as Dominic Goodman, who is a second-generation Bearcat, gets the kickoff. And Dominic stopped just short of the 30.
Goodman on the return.
Dominic Goodman's dad, Donnie, was a fullback, a captain who played for Mike Gottfried at Cincinnati. And Mike said that his dad, Donnie, was a heck of a guy. Aflac trivia question. After Mike Gottfried, who was the next Cincinnati head coach to have back-to-back winning seasons with the Bearcats? You have a guess?
No, I had no clue.
Nothing?
No.
You got nothing? How about Rick Minner, buddy? But it's been 10 years.
Well,
it took him 14 years to get back-to-back winning seasons.
Yeah, and he's been gone for, what, the last 3 or 4 years? He's a D coordinator over at Notre Dame now.
Yep, D'Antonio coming in, now in his 3rd year, replacing Rick Minner in charge at Cincinnati. 1st and 10 for the Bearcats. They're down big, 21-3. Greg Moore takes a bunch of blue shirts with him up to the 35-yard line. Picked up 8.
Greg Moore, ball carrier.
And Steve Slayton. Talked about Tony Dorsett. Well, he set the Sugar Bowl record last year at Slayton with 204 yards rushing, breaking the old Sugar Bowl record held by Tony Dorsett.
Yeah, it's just uncanny. You watch the explosiveness and the way he has a little feint move here and there. It's so much like Tony Dorsett.
And the kid is only a true sophomore. 2nd and 2 now for the Bearcats. And that is not going to go anywhere. No gain on that play for Gladhauer. The Big East got really interesting. Boy, the last couple of weeks, and ESPN had both games on Thursday night. Louisville beating West Virginia, but last Thursday, 2 nights ago, how about that? What an atmosphere in New Jersey for Rutgers to win that game.
I thought that was just incredible and fantastic for college football. You had a great game, a sold-out stadium. You had the entire community involved in that thing, and then you had great coaching in the first half by Louisville, and then great coaching in the second half by Rutgers. It was outstanding.
Rutgers totally shutting down Louisville, shutting them out in the second half. 3rd and 2, a little play action, and it's complete to the big guy, Doug Jones, and they're going to mark it just past the first down marker, as Jones, who's a load at 275, was still pushed back. Yes, Durval, the little guy coming in.
He's not shy. If you're going to come up and hit a 270-pound back, you better strap it on pretty tight there. Make sure your helmet's buckled up tight. And just no hesitancy by him at all. And to play this game, you can't have any sense. I mean, you really can't have any sense if you're like that.
John Holmes coming in to help after Durval got the initial hit, but it is a first down for the Bearcats as we're inside 3 minutes in the first half. This time to throw for Grutza, and that is intended for Ernest Jackson, who was out of bounds. A couple of times that Grutza has hit somebody out of bounds over there on that left sideline. And let's go back to that Jeremy Ito game-winning field goal. And look at me, he finds the sky cam. Now that's a kicker.
Yeah, and how about that? I mean, we've never seen anything like that at the end of a Rutgers game before, and you see what's out there for West Virginia and Rutgers on December 2nd. And that's what has West Virginia feeling good again. They know they can win the Big East if they can beat Rutgers at the end of the season.
Look out, because they have a short week and then go up to Pittsburgh to play in that backyard brawl. 1 game at a time for the Mountaineers, including this one. They're out to a good start, up 21-3. as Moore gets the carry and picks up a couple.
It was great to see the Empire State Building lit up in Rutgers red.
Greg Schiano doing marvelous things. Of course, he said when he took that job, a lot of people, everybody told him he was crazy. He'll never win there. He had a couple of really rough years. They were patient. They stuck with him, and it's paying off.
And I don't think they would have stuck with him had they not won last year. I mean, last year they got those 7 wins and went to a bowl game. If they had a losing season last year, I think they would have let Schiano go.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
As that pass is complete. About a 4-yard gain to Dominic Goodman, but Eric Wicks, he's a great story. Wicks from Pittsburgh, second-team All-Big East last year, came up, raised in very humble surroundings, was a prop 48, and he's on track to graduate. If he does, he'll get another year of eligibility back next year.
A very personable young man. We had the pleasure of dining with him yesterday, and he chatted about his schoolwork. He had a couple of midterms to take care of earlier in the week, and he used his time off last week very effectively in focusing on his schoolwork.
He was concentrated on that and should come back next year as Rivers kicks on 4th and 3. Or sorry, Rivers waiting for the kick. Steal, and that one goes into the end zone. 55-yard punt, no return as we go back to Brian Kenny.
Thank you so much. Coming up at the half, we'll check in with Chris Lee and Kirk in Fayetteville. They'll have a look ahead at Tennessee and Arkansas. Auburn right now still down at home to Georgia. We'll have a look at that possible upset, and Georgia Tech looks to clinch as well. That's all coming up at the half. Pam, Rod?
Thank you, Brian. We look forward to that. Everybody all over the Big East, and now that Louisville has lost all those big guys in the power conferences with one loss, are thinking they will have a shot at the national championship game. Which begs the question, if Rutgers runs the table, should they have a shot? That's a fumble, but able to pick it right back up is Steve Slayton. Now, Slayton is a guy who fumbled against Maryland, and that was it. They said he didn't even fumble in practice all year, but he lost 2 fumbles last week against Louisville, and now fumbles that time.
Well, this time he was going to his left, and that's where he keeps the ball.
Trevor Anderson coming in and making the stop, but Slayton at least able to pick up the football. And a 65-yard touchdown run the last time he had the ball.
Cincinnati obviously is content to go in at halftime. They're not using any timeouts here. They just want to get in and regroup.
Cincinnati scored the first points of this game, and since then it has been all West Virginia. West Virginia shut out in the first quarter. As Pat White, the quarterback, has a touchdown run and a touchdown pass, is stopped by Leo Morgan, and that should do it for the first half. So West Virginia, after a dormant first half offensively, gets 21 points in the second half over an 8-minute and 34-second span as we head down to the field and Jimmy Dykes.
Coach, coming in this game, you're a little concerned about how your kids would bounce back after the loss. You started off a little sluggish in this first quarter. What spark do you think so far?
Well, we're playing hard. Our guys on defense are playing hard on offense. We didn't execute well early, but we got a little bit of a better idea what they're doing now, made a few big plays, and we got to play 4 quarters. This is a good football team we're playing.
How does Slayton's wrist injury affect your play calling?
He's done okay. They've done a good job of keying on him. So Pat's got to get loose on Smith, and then we got to be able to throw the ball some on first down.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
All right, Pat White with 97 yards passing and 37 yards on the ground, but that guy, Steve Slayton, a huge 65-yard touchdown run that gives West Virginia the 21-3 lead at the break. Let's go to Brian.
2 plays, and all by the West Virginia offense. How about this? A big pass by Pat White to Brandon Miles. Poor coverage out there in a 3 deep that Cincinnati doesn't execute. And then how about Slayton coming back after not getting much done? He just goes into that extra gear that only he really has on this field. And nobody's going to catch him on that 65-yard run. You see 99 yards on those 2 plays of the 240 yards that West Virginia had in the first half.
And you see Cincinnati leading in time of possession. 4 big plays of at least 29 yards for 158 yards. The other 25 plays, only 82 total yards. So West Virginia, they have that big strike capability. Slayton with the 65-yard touchdown run, and Pat White with a 34-yard pass to Brandon Miles for the other, or one of the 2 other West Virginia touchdowns, as West Virginia continues to kick away from Derek Stewart. That will give Cincinnati pretty good starting field position. Backup fullback Marcus Waugh picked up the football as we head down to the field, and Jimmy Dykes.
Thank you, Pam. I talked to Mark D'Antonio as he came out of that Cincinnati locker room. I said, Coach, the difference in the first half, in your opinion, was what? And he said, you know what? Dadgum Slayton and White, two guys who can just make a play on you. So we've got to try to contain them the best we can. It's the two big plays, Rob, that he also harped on. I said, how do you get your offense on track? He said, we are what we are. We've got to keep pounding, but with a score like it is, we're also going to have to throw the football down the field some. Pam?
And I'm sure he said dadgum.
Yeah.
110, first and 10 from the 31, best starting field position right now for Cincinnati as they were torched by Slayton and White in the second quarter. And going down, sacked is the quarterback, Dustin Grutza, by Boo McClee, his second sack of the day, and the crowd yells boo.
Well, this is what D'Antonio's talking about. This is not who they are. I mean, they are not a drop-back team. They don't protect the passer very well in drop-back. What they are, they're a pounded, move the quarterback, little misdirection, throw it in the flat kind of team. They're not a drop-back team, so they got to get back to doing what they do, and they got to get Stewart involved somehow.
Last 5 games now make it 18 sacks for West Virginia, as Greg Moore, the tailback, who was bottled up pretty well in the first half, only had 11 yards on 4 carries. That time picks up 5.
And they'll keep working him, but I think to loosen things up, they need Derek Stewart to touch the ball. He's been their home run threat at the wide receiver position. Find a way to get him the ball, whether it's on a go route or an end around, but somehow he needs to get involved with the offense to give them a little bit of a jolt.
Right now the offense needs about a 12-yard jolt, facing a 3rd and 12. Cincinnati 1 win away from becoming bowl eligible, but it won't be easy. Grutza, flag is down, should be a hold against Cincinnati as that pass falls incomplete. Ernest Jackson was the intended receiver.
There's Stewart on the sidelines. He wasn't even in on that play, and he's their deep threat. But again, Pam, drop back passing.
Holding. Number 71 offense. The penalties decline. 4th down.
Jeffrey Linkenbach with the hold.
Drop back passing is not what they do best. They like to move the pocket, but this score forces them to do some of the things that they don't want to do. I think you'll find them next time around, next possession, being a little bit more patient and getting back to a little bit more of their style of play regardless of the score.
The Cincinnati offense averaging only 19 points per game. That is dead last in the Big East and 98th in the country. Taking on a West Virginia defense that has held them so far to only a field goal. Steele in to punt again. Vaughn Rivers waits at his 26. He doesn't want any part of that as it will roll out of bounds, and West Virginia will take over from its 28-yard line. 42-yard punt with the roll for Steele. Pat White, what has he done in the first half? Some good things.
A little bit of everything. When you needed him to play as a tailback and break out a run, he gave them that in the first quarter. And he also gave them the first touchdown of the ball game as he kind of punched it in. And then he showed off that arm that he has that people doubt from time to time. Perfectly placed ball to Brandon Miles in the corner of the end zone, and Pat White has just been electric. He can give you those big plays.
134 yards of total offense. He's accounted for 2 touchdowns, 1 running, 1 throwing. And remember last week against Louisville, they lost that game 44-34, but he was brilliant. 347 total yards for White and 4 touchdowns as Slayton gets it and picks up a couple. Pat White, the sophomore out of Daphne, Alabama, said that he was also recruited. Really the only other team that he or school he considered, as you look at Slayton's numbers, skewed by the 65-yard touchdown run. But LSU was interested in Pat White, and he said he wasn't sure that they were going to let him play quarterback.
Yeah, and he also did hear from Tennessee and Alabama and Auburn, but everybody wanted him to play in the secondary, and he wanted the quarterback. There are a lot of misfits here at West Virginia.
They have had a history of some great running quarterbacks, as that one is thrown towards the feet of Darius Reynaud. Let's get another update from Brian Kenny.
Pam, here's the stunner. Georgia, having lost 4 of 5, going in against 9-1 Auburn. And here it's 17-0. Brandon Cox picked off. Trey Battle. Good run to boot. Into the end zone, soaring into the end zone. 24-0. Georgia leading Auburn. But Auburn battles back. The drive, Brad Lester. Great run. He's in. 21 yards, 24-7. Pam?
Auburn really needing that as they head to the locker room. Still down 17 at home. Go figure that one out.
Yeah, you got to figure that after what happened on Thursday night with Rutgers knocking off Louisville, that Auburn had to be one of those one-loss teams thinking, we're back in it. So to see them come out and fall behind a Georgia team that got beat by Kentucky, that's just stunning.
And especially considering that it is at home. Slayton only got a yard on that last carry. So Pat McAfee is in for his second punt of the day. McAfee, part of the shakeup that Rich Rodriguez instituted on this team after the loss to Louisville, is he's come in and gives you that sort of rugby-style punt because Scott Kozlowski struggled against Louisville. Dominic Goodman, the dangerous return man, not able to get much. 45-yard punts, and Goodman is stopped down for no return. Rich Rodriguez, one of the most popular guys in West Virginia. We'll go back and show you where it all began for Rich when we come back. About 18 miles away from Morgantown is Granttown, West Virginia. Bucolic town, population 641, including Rich Rodriguez's parents and assorted relatives. This is where he grew up, along an old mining town. We'll show you his house coming up, but his parents are still there.
Son of a coal miner, huh?
That's it. It's his grandfather came over from Spain, became a coal miner, and actually died of black lung disease, tragically, like so many did back in those days. And the whole family, a lot of the family worked there until they closed the mine down, as Greg Moore picks up about a yard. And Rich Rodriguez, you already saw the town of Granttown, and here it is. This is where Rich grew up. Beautiful setting. And his parents were there. Rich was not there, but a reasonable facsimile of Rich is there on the porch. Great story for him as he walked onto this West Virginia team. He said his dad was a laid-off coal miner. He got enough loan money to last him 1 year. He said if he didn't get a scholarship after 1 year of playing football as a walk-on, he would not be able to afford school anymore. Nice swing pass. That's a big gain for Derek Stewart. Flag is down, however, but Stewart, who is their big play guy, busts one all the way down to the 33-yard line before Morty Ivy chases him down. It's a 41-yard gain, but the flag is back near the line of scrimmage.
And D'Antonio really doesn't like that one. That's the hole that's going to come back, and that's what they needed to get into their offense. We talked about Stewart, getting him involved. He's the big play guy.
Number 16 offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay second
Goodman,
down.
Number 16 that committed the hold. Top of your screen, right there. He's grabbing on right there. And that was right in front of the official.
So wipe out a 41-yard gain.
Yeah, Pam, going back to Rodriguez, you mentioned his walking on here at West Virginia. I thought it was fascinating that he said he was motivated not to become a coal miner. And his dad said, you got to do something, go play football. Yeah. You don't want to be a gardener?
Yeah, his dad loves to garden and stay outside like a lot of coal miners. You're in that hole all day. The last thing you want to do is be cooped up inside, and his dad has quite a garden in Granttown. Grutza has to take off, but then throws it at the last instant. Good job by Dustin to find Bill Poland for a 14-yard gain.
Pass is complete.
And that's a first down.
Bill Poland.
Grutza with a good decision. He's a sophomore from Maysville, Kentucky.
The protection breaking down again, and Grutza really likes to throw on the move. I think he's very comfortable on the move, so he tends to get out of the pocket a little soon at times. And back to Rodriguez, this is a guy who, his first job, he had a head coaching job for a year before the university shut down football. That was at Salem, I believe it was.
And he was at Salem for 1 year and then became a volunteer assistant as West Virginia jumps, see if they were drawn, became a volunteer assistant here at West Virginia, and he was also a driver education teacher during that year.
Yeah, he's a guy.
Prior to the snap, offsides, number 76, contact in the neutral zone, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
I think they meant 96, Kylan Dykes, but here's the resume after that 1 year at Salem.
Yeah, he's a guy who's paid his dues. You look at that Tulane position, he thought he had the head coaching job at Tulane, and in fact was going to a press conference, was dressed for it, brought his wife and everything, and then found out the day of the press conference that, no, it's not going to be you. We're going in another direction. That direction was Chris Selfo.
He showed up. He had his Tulane green jacket on, Tulane green tie. As that pass is dropped by Doug Jones, the fullback, and now a flag.
Yeah, it's on Blue McLean. No, Mark Magro. He saw the 3 and thought it was McLean, but it's Magro with the late hit.
Magro had a personal foul earlier in this game. Make it 2.
Yeah, crowd doesn't like it.
West Virginia, the most penalized team in the country.
Now, the ball's gone. Now, you can't take him down. I mean, it's not a big hit, but the guy's given himself up. He's dropped the ball, and you're taking 4 steps to get to him.
6 penalties now for 60 yards for West Virginia. As I mentioned, by yards, the most penalized team in the country.
Yeah, a lot of officials would not call that, but you can't say that's not a legitimate call.
Yeah, he took a few more steps before he wrapped him and took him down.
Yeah, it's a safety issue. Guy's giving himself up on the play, and you can't take 4 more steps and go hit him.
So first down for the Bearcats. Nice effort. As another flag comes in, Greg Moore lunging forward for a 6-yard gain. And this time it's a hold against the other guys, against the Bearcats. The game has not been a big thing of beauty so far, especially for Mark D'Antonio.
Yeah, Pam, just to finish off the point on Rodriguez.
Number 76 offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay first down.
At that time when he didn't get the Tulane job and it appeared to be the worst thing to happen to him, it actually turned out to be the best thing because he took his offense over to Clemson with Tommy Bowden and became a cause for celebration with his spread offense, and then wound up getting the West Virginia job here.
So it was a circuitous route. It worked out. He became a head coach, and certainly here with West Virginia that is now in the Big East. Good job, and he's really taking this program to new heights. That pass is right on the money. A beautifully thrown football to Derek Stewart for the touchdown.
Going to Cincinnati touchdown.
Grutza right on the mark, splitting 2 defenders, and Cincinnati scores its first touchdown.
Well, we talked about the West Virginia secondary and the changes in the cornerback position. And they were sort of exposed by Louisville. Grutza will have time here. This is Stewart out here running behind the freshman, Durbin, and then you get a chance to see him in action. Quentin Andrews came over late, but they found the freshman they'd been looking for in the first half and couldn't exploit him. They did at that time.
Now they're going to review to see if Stewart was in the end zone, if he hit that pylon before he went out of bounds. So the replay officials will take a look at it upstairs as we give you a look.
Looking to see whether he gets into the end zone with the ball. Does the ball cross the plane? That's tough from that angle. Now from that angle you can't see exactly where the ball is, but that's not enough to reverse the call. This might be your best look at it right here. And I just don't think you got enough there to say that the call on the field was not the correct call.
It's the 8th catch of at least 20 yards this season for Stewart, by far their best deep threat. Among those looking at the replay assistant John Smith, who's been in the Big East for several years, wanted to pass along he's missing the christening of his granddaughter Katie in Connecticut today. And we'll see if Granddad John can get this call right upstairs.
I think he will.
I think he will.
I think he will.
We think the touchdown's going to stand, Katie.
But kudos to Don Treadwell, the offensive coordinator for Cincinnati, for finding a way to get Stewart into the offense. And Stewart was non-existent in the first half. They've gone to him twice in this third quarter, and obviously most recently that touchdown pass.
Stewart on the day now, 3 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown, including this catch.
That's so close. That looks like the ball is right at the goal line.
Touchdown Cincinnati.
And the play does stand as we anticipated. Quick review upstairs. They get it right. And Derek Stewart now with his 4th touchdown catch of the season.
15, Kevin LaBelle.
And Mark D'Antonio's team right back in this thing.
Yeah, and Pam, it's important they scored early in the third quarter. They can go back to their normal offense. They don't have to be in a hurry-up situation anymore because it's a two-possession game.
Kevin Lavelle makes it 21-10 in favor of West Virginia. So Mark D'Antonio's team, he says every week, Dustin Grutza showing more and more confidence. That was a beautiful throw to Derek Stewart. It's 21-10, Mountaineers.
ESPN2's College Football, brought to you by the Nissan Titan, proud presenter of the 2006 Heisman, and Liberty Mutual. Vote for the 2006 Liberty Mutual Coach of the Year. Responsibility. What's your policy?
Well, welcome back to Morgantown, West Virginia. Cincinnati has just scored to cut this lead to 21-10. They a 6-play, 75-yard drive culminating with the touchdown pass. Dustin Grutza has his hair pulled back with that.
What is that?
That's something that probably in Mike Gottfried's day they probably didn't have. That's more of a 70s look.
Yeah,
I guess that's come back for Dustin as he was able to find Stewart. Derek Stewart for the touchdown.
Yeah, half skull cap or something.
Yeah, when you played, was your hair kind of like that?
I had one of those big fros.
You had a fro? Did it stick out the back of the helmet?
Oh, a little bit. We had to cut those things. It got too bad.
Of course, Rod Gilmore, a very proud graduate of Stanford University.
Not proud these days.
The football team's a little bit struggling these days, kiddo.
Oh, it's ugly.
They have yet to win a game. That one goes out of bounds, so West Virginia can take it at the 35-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown throw from Grutza.
All right, so Pam, 3 deep coverage. You know the rule.
Deep is the deepest, wide is the widest.
All right, now watch what happens right here. We've got leverage already because the freshman Durbin lines up inside. He doesn't have the outside. And then he stops his feet right there on the stutter step by Stewart. So not only is he not wide, he's not deep. Violating our basic rule that we talked about earlier, results in a touchdown.
Gessley Derville, the true freshman, making his first career start as he was beaten by Dustin Grutza, the sophomore, reigning, well, he was the Big East Offensive Player of the Week a couple weeks ago. They're coming off a bye week. And Derek Stewart with his 4th touchdown catch of the season. Longest touchdown pass this season, by the way, for Cincinnati, period. As Steve Slayton tries to get out of trouble. How good is he? Steve Slayton, who has a 65-yard touchdown run, takes that all the way down to the 2 before John Bowie gets him. That's a 63-yard run.
Wow. He can deliver the big plays. We talked about his speed. Just check out his vision on this replay. Watch it from this angle, how he sees the hole develop. He's got his choice. He picks it clearly back to the inside. Haruki Nakamura has no shot at him. I tell you, he's got great vision. The more I see him, the more I think Tony Dorsett.
Slayton was the Big East Rookie of the Year last year as he takes a break. Well-deserved. Over 100-yard rushing for the 8th time in 9 games this season. Only East Carolina was able to keep him down. Pat White, can he do it by himself? Yes, he can. Pat White with his 2nd rushing touchdown of this game. And West Virginia answers the Cincinnati touchdown.
And one of the guys that he ought to congratulate, or at least thank, is Brad Palmer, his tight end, number 45. Got a great block on the edge that allowed Slayton to get in there. I say Slayton, I meant White.
Pat White, the other guy, the other good runner.
The other half of that dynamic duo.
Slayton set it up with a 63-yard run to get it down to the 2. And then Pat White took it in for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game, 15th of the season. Pat McAfee with the extra point. It took West Virginia only 48 seconds to counter Cincinnati's touchdown. Steve Slayton got a 65-yard touchdown run, and this one's good for 63. Set up Pat White with a short score. West Virginia rolling now, up 28-10.
Back in Morgantown, Pat White just put West Virginia up by 18 on this play. Gets a nice block on the edge there by his tight end, Brad Palmer. That's all he needs to get into the end zone. West Virginia striking right back after Cincinnati cut the lead to 11.
That was a 65-yard drive that took 2 plays.
Wow.
63 yards, of course. Steve Slayton, who set up the touchdown. And Slayton now 138 yards on 10 carries. I can do that, Mr. Stanford guy. That's 13.8 yards per carry. There's a couple of big ones as Goodman gets it and takes it out to the 31. We take you back to Brian Kenny.
And the surprise continues. Georgia and Auburn after Trey Battle had his 3rd interception of the game for Georgia. Here's Matthew Stafford to Craig Lumpkin. Lumpkin, good stiff arm. He's going to go in for the touchdown. The extra point, no good, but it's tied for the most points allowed by Auburn since 2003, and they're at the half.
Wow.
Got to be kidding me.
Georgia scored 30 points in the last month.
Their offense has been so bad. How did they come up with 30 in the first half against Auburn?
At Auburn. Unbelievable. So that upset is brewing. Brian Kenny and the rest of the folks keeping you up to date on what's going on. Here we have West Virginia leading Cincinnati 28-10 halfway through the 3rd quarter. And more whistles, more markers.
Charge timeout.
Actually, a timeout
Cincinnati
is taken.
That's their first charge timeout of the half.
By Cincinnati as the play clock was winding down. And hey, you see, Steve, that's 2 rushes, one for a touchdown and one that set up a touchdown.
Yeah, you know, and I thought it was really important that they got him involved in the offense again. And again, talking to him yesterday, it was clear that that Louisville game weighed heavily on his mind with the 2 fumbles. And then they started this ball game and he didn't touch the ball. And you had the sense that West Virginia wasn't in sync. But once they got him the ball, you saw the whole team kind of get lifted up and they started cruising a bit.
He is an electric ball carrier. 63-yard run and a 65-yard touchdown run today. We got more college football coming your way on ABC and ESPN at 3:30 Eastern. Troy Smith and the Buckeyes travel to Evanston for a meeting with Northwestern. And at 3:30, the same time over on ESPN, Chad Henne and the Michigan Wolverines visit Indiana. College football presented by Best Buy on ABC and Cars.com on ESPN. College football lives here. Michigan and Ohio State going to play next week. The last time Indiana hosted a ranked team, Kellen Lewis.
We won it together. That was a great team win.
All right, Terry Hepner doing a terrific job as Indiana trying to get back to a bowl. Hepner with a very emotional and trying the last few months with his health. Grutza gets outside of the tackle box and actually was able to find a receiver that finds Dominic Goodman. At first I thought he was just thrown it away, but he picks up 13 yards.
Good pickup. And going back to that Michigan, Northwestern, Michigan, Indiana ball game and the Ohio State Northwestern ball game, remaining focused is the big thing. And it's not just looking ahead to next week. A lot of the players have had midterms and papers due the last week or so, and it's easy for them to be distracted for this weekend. So captains have to keep them focused on this game today.
And both Michigan and Ohio State struggled last week as Ohio State only beat Illinois by a touchdown. Ball State gave Michigan all it could handle as that carry by Bradley Glatower picked up 4. So Louisville is no longer unbeaten thanks to Rutgers' great effort on Thursday night. There are 4 unbeatens now, including Ohio State, Michigan. We look forward to them playing next week on ABC, but Boise State and Rutgers right in there.
Yeah, I think for purposes of the BCS championship game, you're going to have one undefeated team, Ohio State or Michigan. I don't think Boise State or Rutgers will have much of a shot at playing in that BCS title game.
2nd and 6 and more movement. The left tackle, Jeffrey Linkenbach, got up early. So you're saying if Rutgers runs the table, which means they would have to come in here and beat West Virginia on this field, and they finish 12-0.
False start. Number 71
no
offense.
shot.
5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
They have a shot, but I don't think it's much of a shot. I think that when it comes down to the strength of schedule for the computers and in the human poll, I believe that most people will look at Rutgers and say, well, the non-conference schedule doesn't measure up against what USC has done if they're a one-loss team, having played Arkansas and Nebraska, or if you look at California having played Tennessee. Any team like that, or Texas having played Ohio State, that doesn't quite measure up, and I think those one-loss teams will get the nod over Rutgers.
Roots it. Incomplete as that pass is thrown towards Butler Benton, his tailback. Of course, the pollsters have a lot to say about that equation in the BCS standings. And there are a lot of one-loss teams who are loving Rutgers for beating Louisville.
Yeah, and this is going to change. You're not going to have that many one-loss teams the last weekend, December 2nd. That's not going to happen. I do think you're likely to have Texas, USC, or California, perhaps Florida out there as one-loss teams. There'll be 3 of them, 2 or 3 one-loss teams. And if Rutgers is undefeated, they'll have to stack up against those. And I think that's a tough deal for Rutgers.
Auburn right now about to, or close to losing its second game as they're down 37 at the half. And that's a monstrous hit. Eric Wicks, big-time pressure on the quarterback as the pass falls incomplete.
Yesterday, Wicks told us that he's a defensive back, not a linebacker. And I reminded him that he hits like a linebacker. And he said, oh, okay, I'll take that. And that's exactly what he does, coming off the corner, blitzing in there. Guy used to weigh 230 pounds, dropped down to 210 so he could play as that boundary safety.
Picked up a nickname, Wicks for 6, when he was in high school and ran a lot of plays back for touchdowns. Has 2 career interception returns for touchdowns at West Virginia as Vaughn Rivers fields another steal punt. And Rivers breaks away and takes it up to the 36-yard line. So Ron Rivers, 3rd in the Big East in punt returns, gets a 21-yard return that time. Cedric Tolbert finally making the stop as Rivers gets some pats and hugs. Speaking of surprise teams, Wake Forest has surprised a lot of people, currently co-leading the Atlantic Division in the ACC. Tonight they visit Florida State. Others will see Texas try to keep their BCS title hopes alive as they play Kansas State. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines on ABC at 8 Eastern. College football lives here. And that ACC is how it's like upside down. Miami and Florida State aren't in it. You got Wake Forest, Boston College, and Maryland to top that division. Maryland.
The teams.
The team that almost lost to Florida International at home.
Yeah, those are your boys.
Well, they are when they're winning. Earlier this year, it was a little gamey in
prior to the snap. Offsides. Number 95 defense. Contact in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Terrell Bird offsides, the very good nose guard. Let's take a look at those ACC standings. Of course, BC falling behind Wake Forest after they lost to Wake last week. Maryland got Florida, they have Miami today, then they finish with Boston College and Wake.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
And Florida State near the bottom there. That's a surprise.
Pat White breaking free. The quarterback dragged down, loses the football. It's picked up. And they roll in a touchdown. So White losing the football, and Rayshawn Bolden picks it up for the West Virginia score.
You know, watching this offense is somewhat like watching a track meet. You get these 40, 50, 60-yard sprints. Now, let's see what happens at the end of this play. Mickens makes the tackle. Yep, that ball does come out. And then Bolden was able to get it and hang on to it as he gets into the end zone.
Great stretch by Rayshawn, who's 6'5", as he gets credit for the touchdown. And, well, you're right, this West Virginia offense with White and Slayton is like just lightning quick. And this Cincinnati defense priding itself on getting faster this year, they ain't this fast.
No, this is something. I mean, you start looking at this stuff, and you watch him go, and this is just a sprint. It's a track meet. And they've got guys who just have the uncanny ability to, once they hit a seam, they just turn on the jets. Hey, this might as well be a baton that he's carrying down the field. Now look at him open it up. Great speed out of Pat White. Not many quarterbacks can move like that. And when it's going your way, it's going your way. Bolden in the right spot to pick up that fumble.
Pat White now 4 yards away from a 100-yard rushing game. Slayton already over 100. This would be White's 4th straight game in triple digits for run yards, and he's a quarterback.
And White and Slayton, they were all, somewhat giddy yesterday at the prospect of still winning the BCS East crown in the Big East, thinking that they had a shot to do that. They told us, hey, our first goal is always win the Big East.
National championship aspirations, for all intents and purposes, went down the drain with a loss to Louisville as Pat White has a big smile. They finish up, and they play at Pitt on Thursday, short week, then South Florida, and finish up here at home December 2nd against Rutgers. As it'll be a touchback for Cincinnati. And that Rutgers game here, how wild is that scene going to be?
Oh, that's going to be something. That'll be as wild here as it was in Rutgers the other night.
So Pat White and Steve Slayton combining for over 2,000 yards now easily on the season. And today, that's well over 200 yards.
Your math is good.
How's that? Pretty good?
We'll take it.
That's 235. I think I got that. 235 and 3 rush touchdowns. How about that? And White has thrown also. He has thrown a touchdown pass.
Well, we talked about that dynamic duel at the beginning of this broadcast, and the fact that they didn't combine for a great game against Louisville does not make them any less dangerous. And they have been spectacular today.
Mark D'Antonio's team, they like, he had his druthers that grinded out 80-yard, 6-minute drive, whereas West Virginia has like 15-second drives. Let's head down to the field now. Jimmy Dykes has more on Pat White.
Well, Pam, Patrick White is not the only member of his family with a big game this weekend. Last night, his younger brother, Coley, a junior in high school, got his first start. The starter was suspended for disciplinary reasons, and he led his Daphne, Alabama high school team to a first-round playoff win. Patrick told me before the game, the last I heard, we were up 42-6 when my brother came out. So with Coley going from backup to starter, I guess the White House in Washington, D.C. is not the only White House that experienced a change this week, huh?
Ah, you've been reading the papers and everything, huh?
That's right. Big stuff nationally in the elections, and that's great. That's a great story for Coley. As Rutza goes down, the ball comes loose. Reed Williams with an enormous hit, but Cincinnati is able to recover the fumble, and now it's Brent Selleck gets the fumble recovery. Now they're just teeing back and going after it.
Well, they've got their swagger back. Watch Williams, real time, real speed. Catch this. He got himself a face full of Grutza there.
Reed Williams has forced 2 fumbles. And first-year starter from Moorfield, West Virginia. And he had one heck of a hit. He played as a true freshman last year. He and Bobby Hathaway split time about 50-50 on that side of the field with the linebacking spot. Here's something you don't want, a 3rd and 20. And Grutza throws an interception, picked off by Quentin Andrews. And Andrews takes it down inside the 10, a 21-yard return, and the wheels have fallen off the cart for Cincinnati.
And remember how we talked about how when Slayton does something, it just ignites the entire team? Since his long run, the defense has picked up. The offense has picked up. The crowd has picked up. Now watch number 8, Andrews, just to the left of your screen. He's just playing zone, sitting there. The ball is right there as Grutza tries to drop it over his head to Jackson. No chance.
So Andrews coming up with his 3rd interception of this season, and it's now 1st and goal for the Mountaineers right at the 10-yard line. Slayton doesn't get it. White holds on to it, and he doesn't get anything as we head back to the studio and Brian Kenny.
All right, Pam, let's get back to Wisconsin and Iowa. B.J. Hill leads the Big Ten in rushing, number 5 in the nation. Going in from 1 yard, punches in the touchdown. Wisconsin with the lead, 24-14, 4th quarter underway. In the 3rd quarter, Minnesota leading Michigan State now 24-12. Drew Stanton, quarterback for Michigan State, out of the game with dizziness. Pam.
The whole team has played rather dizzy all season.
Yeah, the whole program, dizzy.
Yeah. We hope Drew's all right, but that is, that Notre Dame game, if they win that Notre Dame game, it could be a totally different story for them as Slayton powers his way this time down to the 2. Dominic Ross with the stop.
Yeah, that fourth quarter comeback by Notre Dame against Michigan State pretty much ended Michigan State's season.
Yeah, and the Michigan State career of John L. Smith, who is he's got one more game. They play at Penn State next week, and one of the names being brought up as a possible successor, Mark D'Antonio. His name was in the paper this week as a possible Michigan State head coaching candidate.
And that's because he coached there as a defensive coach assistant there and was also a defensive coordinator at Ohio State.
3rd and goal. Give it to Slayton, and he'll find the end zone. So the Grutza interception leads to the short field and Steve Slayton's 2nd rushing touchdown of the game.
Good blocking at the point of attack. Once again, little help from 35 Owen Schmidt. And then Slayton does the rest. You know, Pam, it wasn't that long ago that Cincinnati was climbing back in this ballgame.
It seems like that long ago as McAfee adds the extra point. It was 21-10 early in the 3rd quarter, but West Virginia, with the Steve Slayton 63-yard run, set up a Pat White touchdown. And then another Pat White long run, a fumble return, or a fumble pickup by Bolden with the touchdown. And after the interception, another Slayton touchdown. So boom, 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 21 points. Let's head back to the 2nd quarter. Your sharp Aquos image of the game.
Brandon Miles
with a terrific catch. Because Mike Mickens wasn't deep as the deepest.
Or wide as the widest.
That's right.
Didn't respect the rule.
So that's why it's our sharp Aquos play.
You know what this reminds me of? Remember when the Lakers had Showtime and they'd run up and down the court and dunk the ball and the crowd would go crazy? That's what it is with West Virginia. You get White and you get Slayton. You know, it's like Magic Johnson and Worthy and everybody going down the court, and all of a sudden you got a couple dunks, a couple long big plays here, and the crowd is crazy and the game is over.
Look at the rushing now as Slayton well over 100 yards. White will, unless they pull him soon, will more than likely get to 100. White has 3 straight 100-yard rushing games. Slayton now working on 5 in a row. And all but one game this year, he's gone over 100. And a kickoff fielded by Marcus Waugh, the backup fullback, and he takes it up to the 32 as they continue to kick away. Derek Stewart, Dominic Goodman, both of them very good return men. Waugh's fired up. He's trying to get his guys up. That's very Pat Narduzzi-like.
You know, the thing is, speaking of Narduzzi, his defense hasn't played that poorly. Hey, they played great for 7, 8 out of 10 plays. The only problem is, those other 3 plays, these guys can take it the distance.
Yeah, it's continued to be the big plays that have hurt them, as West Virginia has now scored 21 points in the last 6 minutes and 18 seconds to take the big 42-10 lead. As Greg Moore, the starting tailback, lost the ball momentarily, but jumps on top of it. Mark D'Antonio, he's a defensive guy. The last 5 games, they've been quite good, and today they're just getting steamrolled.
Yeah, it came in with a lot of confidence, a defense that would hit you, knock you around, stop your running game, and they did a lot of that today. But 3, 4 big plays, and if you give Slayton a crease or White a little seam, you pay for it with 7 points.
They have 2 runs of over 60 yards and 3 over 54 yards on the day. As that pass is swung out and incomplete, intended for Derek Stewart. West Virginia is the 4th top 10 team that Cincinnati has played this year, all of them on the road. They lost at Ohio State, at Virginia Tech, and at Louisville. They had a chance to beat Louisville and didn't quite come through. Number 10, West Virginia. Forget about a Louisville hangover. They are playing it extremely well, as they are now leading Cincinnati 42-10 in the final minute of the 3rd quarter. West Virginia re-energized by Louisville's loss on Thursday night, right back in the hunt for the Big East title and a BCS bowl bid. Bradley Glotauer with that carry close to the first down marker.
Made by number 20.
You know, Pam, Rich Rodriguez told us that following that Louisville loss, you know, they gave the team a couple of days off, but they had a meeting before that. And the players were down, and they should have been down, and he was down. And, you know, he said he had to get himself a couple more extra workouts to kind of work through that thing. And then they came back to practice, and the first couple of days were kind of tough. Then they started getting over it. But Thursday was really a turning point when everybody with the program realized that they still had a shot at winning the Big East. And you're seeing that come to fruition here today.
They've had some huge plays. Louisville has given up now 376 total yards. And some big plays. Steve Slayton, who did not touch the ball at all in West Virginia's first possession, has come on like gangbusters. And Steve right now, 12 carries, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
He doesn't look tired at all.
No, he's ready to go. Yeah. True sophomore. Great talent. Screen pass executed nicely to Glotauer. And he is marked just short of the first down. Now, Steve Slayton is a beast anywhere, but at home, this is ridiculous. In 7 games, he has almost 1,200 yards.
I'm telling you, showtime. It's showtime here. It is unbelievable.
Fast break football with Slayton and White. They're very good buddies. You see them sitting next to each other on the bench, as they both came in together here to West Virginia and have done some marvelous things. Greg Moore now in the backfield, as it was marked a first down. And Moore, tackled down by Quentin Andrews, gets a couple of yards. But it's a huge mountain that Cincinnati will have to climb to overcome Steve Slayton and Pat White and the rest of the Mountaineers, as they have put on a big play clinic, leading 42-10 over Cincinnati as we head to the fourth quarter. College football presented by Pennzoil here in Morgantown, West Virginia, now up 42-10 as we head to the fourth quarter. They were shut out in the first quarter. That's the good news for Cincinnati, but then they had 21 points in both the second and third quarters. And we have had Rod filling in for Mike Gottfried today, who is under the weather. We've had close games the last few weeks, and you show up and look what happens.
I confess it's Mike Gottfried's fault, not mine.
Oh, okay.
Mike were here, you'd have a close game.
This has been anything but, as Rutza has thrown his second interception. West Virginia with another pickoff. A flag comes in as Boogie Allen, Francho Boogie Allen, gets the interception. The freshman, the true freshman from Jacksonville, Florida. Wow. Cincinnati, not the kind of team that's built to come from behind.
Well, you saw that right there.
After the interception, illegal block in the back. On the return team, 10-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
Grutz's 5th multi-interception game of the season, as he has thrown a couple. And this one, the Boogeyman got it. Boogie Allen with the interception. Mountaineers have the ball again.
ESPN2's College Football is presented by Pennzoil, not just oil, Pennzoil. And in part by New Gillette Fusion, the best shave ever in manual and battery power. And ESPN Game Plan, maximum college football. To order, call your pay-per-view provider or log on to ESPN.com, search Game Plan.
Welcome back to Morgantown. Dustin Grutza has just thrown a second interception of the game. College football presented by Pennzoil, West Virginia. With the football, and Pat White is out of the ball game. They have gone to their backup quarterback, Jarrett Brown. They have first possession of the fourth quarter, and Steve Slayton is out, well over 100 yards for Steve. So that's Jeremy Bruce, a sophomore from Beaver Falls. He fumbled it, but West Virginia was able to get it back. They've been getting those kind of breaks today.
Well, if you take one guy out, you got to take the other guy. I mean, dynamic duo. Yeah. You know, White comes out, so Slayton has to go out.
Pat White on the day. 7 for 12 throwing, 98 yards and a touchdown, 10 rushes for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Pat's not going to get his 100 yards rushing today.
His work is done here today.
It would be his 4th straight 100-yard rush day, but he's content just to sit and watch Jarrett Brown run the offense. Not quite what he had in mind as Brown goes down. Anthony Hoke makes the 8-yard sack. Hewlett-Packard player of the game. When you have Steve Slayton and Patrick White on your team, how do you choose? And it's been a big play day for West Virginia. Between White and Slayton, they've had a ton of them. Slayton with a 65-yard touchdown run and also a 63-yard run that set up a Pat White touchdown. As Brown slings that to Jeremy Bruce, and Bruce is having trouble holding on to the football.
Jarrett Brown's pass complete.
Young man's a little bit excited, a little nervous out there. Twice he touches the ball, twice he puts it on the ground.
But twice, West Virginia was able to pick it up. Our Hewlett-Packard players of the game, how can you choose between Pat White and Steve Slayton?
You know, they might actually be a player of the game because they are really together all the time.
Pat Slayton, Steve White.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. These guys are awesome. 241 rush yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and Pat White also threw a touchdown. And they got off to a sluggish start. Were shut out in the first quarter, but the last 2 quarters they've been dynamite. Derek Stewart waits for the punt, and fair catches it at the 21-yard line. So they put in the backup quarterback Jarrett Brown and company. There's a 3-and-out for Cincinnati. The Bearcats have the football as they trail the mighty Mountaineers now 42-10.